Welcome to Life Matters. I'm your host, Stephanie. And before we get into this, if you haven't already, click like, subscribe, and share. Also visit www.lifemattersplusone.com. There you can buy items that support ending the mental health stigma, gets the word out there about mental health. So I came across this post, and it reads, why do people never talk about the part of depression when you just don't want anything anymore? Everybody talks about when it hurts like hell, when you cry, when you cut, when you take drugs, when you break down. But no one ever talks about when you just lay down in your room with a hole inside of you that you don't know how to fill. And you don't want to do anything, even the things you usually like. So you just spend your day kind of waiting for it to end. And it's horrible because you feel empty and guilty for that at the same time. So I saw that post and I was like, wow, there's truth to it. But I think, in my personal opinion, the reason people talk about those things such as the drugs or cutting and the hurt, because those are things you can easily identify in relation to depression, right? When the effects of depression are, visible, or you feel it's easy to identify those, and it's easy to talk about those and even connect with another person about those things, because these are all effects of that depression, right? But the part of depression that they feel, the person that posted this, people neglect talking about, I think it becomes hard to talk about because that's the one piece of depression that's unexplainable, right? A lot of times that is an onset of depression before someone may even know they have depression. Just what I would like to think is like a feeling of numbness where you feel this way, right? But you can't explain it, right? Like I said, you just want to lay in bed and wait for that day to end. And I think in that phase of depression is when you are the most vulnerable, right? Because you're not feeling anything, you're not interacting with anyone, you're not actively doing anything, even those things that you like. So now your brain becomes victim to your thoughts. So then your brain just starts to go, right? And now you're trying to fill, like I said, that hole or that numbness for this feeling to go away, for this numbness to go away, for this not wanting to do anything or even existing to go away. And I know for me, again, while there's those things that you can explain as a result of that depression, that's the most challenging, even for myself, to get past. Because it's like knowing that I have this diagnosis, I'm very aware when it occurs, okay, this is the depression, but it's the most frustrating because I can't explain it. And I know I've even before tried, but it's just like a blah feeling, You want so bad to interact or do, but your very being is just, it's like a heavy weight. And all you literally can do is just lay there, exist, and want this thing to pass. And I know I've even been in instances where I've been like that, and I'm like telling myself literally out loud, and I'm like holding my head, and I'm just like, get out of your head, let this pass. And I think the importance of, like why Life Matters exists is to, yes, end the mental health stigma, but to get people talking and people comfortable with, I have this diagnosis, but it doesn't have to be the end of me. I can do something about it, I can work actively while I may have those bad days. I'm still going to have some good days, and it ain't going to last forever. And I think what can help with this, one, for people to talk about it, right? But is to also be very aware that that is a effect of depression. And it's an area to be very aware of. It's an area that if you haven't talked about it, talk about it. Because again, while it's not something you can explain, at least you make those around you aware, those that care about you, those that love you. Because that can be a moment where they can step in and try and help, to the best of their ability, help you to shape that thing. Help to get you up out that bed and get you out, get you moving and talking, and to hopefully kind of pull you from that numb state and begin to feel that hole. And I know in this season, people probably feel more like that than anything. They don't need to even do those things that maybe they do the drugs, the cutting, whatever, to numb, so to speak. The mind is naturally kind of doing that. Is winding down from a year. There's the hustle and bustle going on of everybody going this way and that way, or traveling or visiting or shopping. And it's also a time of, where there is that togetherness, where people begin to miss family, miss friends, whether it's because they're apart or whether it's because, of to death, whatever the case might be. And I think that this post really made a statement because, again, I feel that is the most vulnerable state a person can be, when they suffer from depression, aside from those other things. Because, again, you become victim to the mind and can sink, continue to sink deeper to where you lie more than that day, with that numbness and with that hole inside. So I think it's a statement to really bring light to it and make people start talking about that part of depression, because it's the darkest part. And again, because it's very unexplainable, you can't explain how you feel. You can't really explain what's going on in there. It's literally, I gotta let this thing pass. But there's things we can do actively to help that thing pass. We gotta muster up the strength that we feel like we don't have to get up, to do the things we don't like, because that's exactly what that feeling does. It's the opposite. And again, if we talk about it, like this says, we don't talk about it, we make those people around us aware that on any other given day helps us through this. And the thing about people who suffer from mental illnesses is they suffer in silence, and that's the whole purpose of this Life Matters, is so people ain't gotta suffer in silence. No, you're not alone. There are more of me and you out here in this world that are suffering, and we need to come together and build a dialogue for the world to make this a place for us to feel comfortable and at peace living in, and know that on our bad days, we're still human, we're still okay, but there can be a community of people to help us through that, help support us. I know this is kind of a odd-end video, but I really wanted to kind of speak to that post. And there's no real steps to step of, okay, we talk about this, how we get out of it. You let it pass, but you talk about it and you build that dialogue with people so that they can be aware of this part of depression, this dark side of depression, and not just to the obvious and the things that can be talked about and explained of drug use or cutting and things of that nature. So again, click like, subscribe, share, and visit www.lifemattersplusone.com.